Baruch. B'ezrat Hashem, Mincha is going to be at 4:15. Please be on time. As we were saying yesterday about the Halacha, that a person at the end of the tefillah is appropriate for him to mention a pasuk, that the first letter of the pasuk begins with the first letter of his name, and the last letter of the pasuk ends with the last letter of his name. And one can ask a question, if it's a pasuk from Tanakh, which is Torah, Nevi'im, or Ktuvim, then it seems to be problematic, because we have a rule. Dvarim shebichtav i'ata rashai le'omram be'al peh, which means things that are in the Torah shebichtav, the Tanakh, you're not supposed to say them by heart. The rule is, there's Torah shebe'al peh, Torah shebichtav, the oral tradition, and the written tradition. The written is the psukim. The psukim are supposed to be read from HaSefer. And everything that is Gemara, Mishnayot, Torah shebe'al peh, that is supposed to be by heart. That's the really shouldn't even be written, except we didn't have a choice. We had no choice. We had to write it. But the Torah shebichtav is not supposed to be said out of the writing, be'al peh, without looking inside. And if that's the case, well, you're taking a pasuk from Tanakh and you're saying it by heart. Is there a problem of this halacha of dvarim shebichtav i'ata rashai le'omram be'al peh? So the poskim write that in this case it would be permitted under the basis of two basic concepts. Number one, what the Gemara says, many hold that that's when you're saying something to fulfill the obligation on behalf of others, like Megillah, like Kriyat Torah, like the Haftarah. There you can't say, I'll read the Haftarah by heart, I'll read Sefer Torah by heart, and everybody will fulfill their obligation. No, you have to see it inside. You teach Bar Mitzvah boy, you teach him to read it inside. He can't just memorize it by heart. He has to look at the words. That's because he's Motzi Rabbi Midei Chovatam. But here in this case, I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing it to be Motzi others. I'm doing it for myself. So that's number one. Number two, since you are familiar with the pasuk, since you know the pasuk very well, the ruling is anything that is shagul, that you're very comfortable saying, that you know it on the tip of your tongue, is not a problem of Devarim Shebichtav i'ata rashai le'omram be'al peh. There are certain things that everyone knows, like if you say Shira Ma'alot Esayna Ha'arim, that's a mizmor that everyone knows. It's shagul befi kol. There's no issue of saying Devarim Shebichtav. Or if you said Poteach et yadecha u'maspia lechol chai ratzon, it's a pasuk in Tanakh, but you're allowed to say it be'al peh because everybody knows the pasuk. So since you know this pasuk, whatever pasuk you selected, you know that pasuk very, very well, therefore you have a basis to go ahead and to be lenient and to take that pasuk, wherever it is in the Tanakh, know it well, and then insert it into tefillah, even if it's not written down. If you want to be extra machmir, which Halacha doesn't require, you could write it in your siddur, and then you could read it from the writing itself, which is one way of alleviating that concern. But really, that's not necessary, because the fact that it's shagul b'fiv is good enough. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen.